What is up, guys? Welcome back to Turf Wars with Chase and Josh. And today, Jones again. He is going to be I don't know why we gave him this name. I guess I gave it to him, our fantasy guru, whatever that means. It really just means he's the oldest and been playing fantasy the longest. But, uh,
Have
we'll
you
let him feel good
have
about
you
himself.
have you ever finished higher than me?
Yes, maybe.
No, no,
Prove
you
it.
have not.
Prove it.
How
You
many?
have
What
not.
we've only played? What? How many years have we played?
3 years. 3 years.
3 years.
Of
I came in.
three
I
years of
lost.
our league. Yes. However,
I,
you're right. I have been playing a lot longer than you have. However, together you have never finished higher than me. But
but is that saying
there's
a
always
lot?
there's always this year, just like the Panthers say. Wait till next year.
Well, I will take that. And is that even saying a lot that you beat me?
Sure, man. I mean, all's fair in friendship and in fantasy. You know what I mean?
There we go.
All I'm
Well,
gonna say is I've won my leagues in back-to-back years. The reigning champion. No one can dethrone me.
so basically, anyone watching this video, we are experts, and everything we say, do it, and you will win. Is what we're trying to get across here. So, we're perfect, and we know what we're talking about.
Who
But
who, tru-
Jones,
who who trusts Matt Berry? I don't. Do you?
yeah, for real, we could take that job easily.
Exactly.
But Jones, glad to have you on again, dude.
Thank you very much for having me on. I do appreciate. I don't know what I can add in terms of knowledge. All I have are opinions, but I do appreciate you guys having me on for these segments.
Yes, sir. Well, it's been what, a couple of weeks now since our last video. Um, we've been at the beach, we've had weddings, we've had, just tons of stuff going on. Could not find a night to get all three of us on. Jones and I both have kids, and
I
Josh
do
has been
not.
Josh doesn't have any kids, but he's been all over the place with his family, but we're glad to be back, finally back on. I say we're gonna, on the screen right here, we have our this episode is going to be about our fantasy wide receiver rankings. We're going to do our top 30, I believe.
It's 30, but this presentation is going to be 26 because the way we've done it is Chase has given me his list of top 30, Jones has given me his list of top 30, and I have my list. 4 wide receivers weren't ranked because either one of us did not have them in our top 30. So, but the top 26, all of us had ranked. So we're going to show you those, and then after this presentation, we're going to get into the actual statistics of who ranked who where, and that might be where we get to see some of the arguments.
Yep.
And I can tell Chase he's just dead wrong. So.
Well, we're gonna when we run through the aggregate rankings, we'll just kind of skim through them, and maybe talk about one or two on each page. And then when we pull up our chart, we can really go into depth as to why we think this, or some of our fringe top 30 guys, or getting to our sleepers at the end. But yeah, we're gonna be doing when the season really kicks off. We're gonna be doing fantasy every week. Maybe our best plays and top whatever at each position. And Jones
That
as
sounds
the
fun, like maybe a start and sit 'em type thing.
yeah, I think that'll be fun. And as our guru in quotations, you're gonna be the guy every time. So, but
And
I say
don't
let's
forget daily fantasy and gambling. We'll have some little nuggets for you guys with that as well.
definitely. Well, let's start it up, Josh.
All right.
So we'll
26.
26 through 22. We got starting at 26. You got Kadarius Toney, Chris Godwin, Mike Williams, Calvin Ridley, and DJ Moore. We This is, like I said, this isn't any one of our rankings. This is our combined, averaged out rankings. I mean, I don't, obviously as a Panther, I'm sad to see DJ Moore this low, but I get it. I get why. Mike Williams, it's hard seeing him this low, but it's I think he's going to be the best receiver on that team this year.
I think maybe part of the reason he's that low is the Chargers have so many weapons.
Yep.
They spread the ball around a lot too.
I think I still have Keenan Allen higher than Mike Williams,
And he
but
has
I wouldn't
games
be
where
surprised.
he has games where he just disappears too. Like
That's his problem.
where I mean, there's games where he should be the clear cut and even number one when Keenan Allen is out with injuries, and even still, I don't know if it's a trust issue but even the targets aren't really there for him. But
Yep.
I'm
And I think
I'm actually shocked to see DJ Moore this high.
yeah,
Okay?
me too.
And
Me too.
I don't know whose rankings, and I do look forward because maybe I had him right around there too. I look forward to seeing that again. But it shocks me that Fields really hasn't shown us anything. So I guess we're more or less banking on DJ Moore more than Fields. But
Yep.
I think part of the reason too, I think all of us had DJ Moore ranked around 25 or 26, but because we had 4 dudes who weren't, we didn't have the final 4 who we all agreed on, and kind of shifted them up.
Okay,
So
that makes more sense.
Yeah,
I'm kind of shocked to see Ridley this low.
I was just about to say, man. I was about to agree.
I would have thought he'd be about 5 spots higher, but that's again.
I think he just got to prove it.
Yep.
But he steps in as having twice as much talent as really any of the other receivers.
If anyone on this screen has wide receiver 1 written all over them, it's Ridley. As in, for the offense they're in, just taking over a team, like, being the majority of receptions, targets, all of that, I think Ridley could really be a monster. A year break could be a really good thing for him or a really bad thing for him.
Good point.
I think Kadarius Toney could have
Tony's the other one, man.
Breakout year.
Toney could, if he turns, what's stopping him from turning into the Tyreek Hill role?
I can tell you the only thing stopping him from that would be his injury history.
Yeah.
He's not Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's good, but I think if you get the right, if he's got the speed, he's got the after catch, I think he could he could easily go for 1,200 plus receiving yards, 100 catches and 8 touchdowns. That's so easily could happen. Depending on the other receivers too, but he's really all they got.
I think with Chris Godwin at 25 is just kind of everything's kind of snowballed for the Buccaneers. Mike Evans is probably going to get the majority of targets, and now switch out Tom Brady, insert Baker Mayfield. You don't know what you're going to get, and that kind of moves him down the board.
I think he's appropriately ranked because there are games he's way better than Mike Evans, and there's games he's way worse. Mm-hmm. Then there's games where
he's injured too. He has had some injury problems.
He does have that history as well. And then whether it's Baker Mayfield or then they pull Mayfield for Trask, the quarterback question mark leaves him in a perfect spot in this range, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's look at that next page.
By the way, as we move on from that page, have you considered maybe sending an invite for Ridley to check in on this podcast for some gambling and betting advice? He could find some insight, or maybe he could give us.
I was about to say, didn't he win that bet?
I mean, I didn't go into those details. If I did, I don't remember them.
I saw something that was like, I thought that he, because he bet like $1,500, and I'm pretty sure he won it. And it's like, yeah. So like you said, maybe he could give us the advice.
We had Isaiah Rodgers, over 100 bets on the Colts, maybe.
Don't get me started on Rodgers, man. That's crazy, dude. These guys are idiots, man. I don't see how you see someone get suspended for a year and then you go out and, what are you doing? Like, I don't know.
He was arguably our second best corner last year, too. He's he wasn't going to get a huge deal, but we probably would have re-signed him.
Yeah.
After next year.
Well, we'll skim from 21 to 17, starting with Terry. I think he's kind of in a good spot here. Average wise, he's I think
he could be a little low. I think it's just the quarterback question too. If he was on a team with a top 10 quarterback in the league, I think he'd be way higher on the list. But
I don't think there's anybody on this screen that he deserves to be higher than, besides maybe Olave. But that's just might be me being biased.
You, sir, are biased against Olave.
I might be a little biased.
There's no question in my mind that the reason he is 19th is because 1/3 of the mathematics, probably from you, have bumped him down to this. But we'll get into that later on. We'll see. But,
he's got what is Michael Thomas is going to play, right?
Yeah, but dude, he's walked.
Yeah. Anyway, what you were saying about Terry, though. Sam Howell, love him to death, but Sam Howell can Sam Howell develop a rapport with him, and can he get him the ball the way previous quarterbacks have? I don't know. So I think Terry is probably aptly ranked, but don't, like you were saying, don't be surprised to see him in the 15-14 range if he starts going off scoring wise.
And we're forgetting about
I
fantasy
completely agree
goat
with
Curtis
that.
Samuel.
It's like, yeah.
We're
You
forgetting
mean
about
from the first 2 weeks?
the fantasy
And then
goat.
then it'll disappear.
Yeah.
But I agree with Jones a lot there because, like, like, for example, we have Keenan Allen aggregate 18. If Keenan comes out, plays first couple games, and has a hamstring injury, and he's out for 7 weeks, I automatically think Terry is, a better value than Keenan Allen.
Exactly.
Yep.
But,
No, you're. I mean, on this list, if I'm drafting, if these 5 are available, I mean, it's hard pressed for me to not take either Olave, obviously Smith, but even I would consider Terry over Keenan Allen. But I know a lot of the leagues I'm in, because it's a lot of bias towards him, so I would consider maybe drafting him because I know people would be interested in trading for him because they love him since he's, quote, a local boy. But on this list, he's probably not in my top half of what I would like to take if I had all these available.
Well, I'm trying to pull up my rankings because I can't remember my rankings off the top of my head. But looking at this screen,
we're gonna get into that.
This is just talking about receivers.
Well, last thing on this screen, like what you just said, you might take Olave over any of these guys. I think Devontae's the clear number 1 out of this group.
I do too. I was going to say that. I think out of these 5, Devontae is clear.
The offense he's in,
does that scare you though with him? Because all the rest of these, I think, have more touchdown potential. Anything inside of 10 yards, I'm not sure I don't think they're looking at him when they're passing. That's going to be more of a Dallas Goedert, AJ Brown thing. And really, number 1's probably going to be, they're probably going to try to push it in with Jalen Hurts as much as possible.
Yeah.
So
I think really late
I'm
year.
not doing it just to be contrarian because I like Smith as well. My only concern with him is going to be his touchdowns. I think he's a clear cut. Keenan Allen, when healthy, will get targets. So will Olave. However, I don't know if he's going to score the touchdowns that the rest of them do. However, I'm with you. I can't explain it. I do like him more than the other 4.
I think Smith and Olave are kind of the reason Olave may be higher is because of, like you said, the Jalen Hurts rushing, the offense as a whole. Olave might be the only, Kamara's obviously there, but I get what you mean. I think Olave and Smith are right there on the same page when you're looking at the offense as a whole. Obviously, Mike Evans and Keenan Allen are the best receivers there, but they're also getting older, injuries, but I agree with that. I see what you mean, Jones.
I'm a little biased towards Devontae Smith. I do think towards the end of last year, he helped me win my championship. He had like 3 games in a row where he went off.
Yeah.
And I think, if he can roll that into this year too, the Eagles are going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean,
they will.
The NFC's a cakewalk compared to the AFC too. So it's like,
and they're again, the weapons they have, they're going to spread it out so much between not only those receivers and the tight end, but also the running backs. I mean, and then again,
Jalen running too.
Jalen himself is going to take a percentage of those snaps where he's just going to be going down and blocking in the end zone.
Yeah. So here, one more question about Devontae Smith. Obviously, AJ Brown has proven that he's a better receiver, but if you put Devontae Smith on another team, could he be better than AJ Brown?
No.
In a vacuum?
So.
In a vacuum?
No.
What if he takes a massive leap and becomes? I don't think
he will AJ Brown is. I think AJ Brown's unbelievable.
But also, AJ Brown has more of a sample size of proven commodity.
Yeah.
We're looking at Smith. Honestly, we're looking at Smith coinciding with a breakout year of the Eagles offense in general.
Yeah.
And so I would need to see some staying power before playing that what if game. I mean,
Yeah.
I think in terms of contract and things like that going forward and age, obviously Smith is going to eventually
Surpass.
overtake him. But at this moment in time, I'm not sure. I don't know if I can. I don't even know how I could play that game.
I guess like let's say he takes a T Higgin a leap this year, right? He comes out as if he was put on. Just use the Panthers as an example. He's the number one receiver and would probably put up top 10 numbers because I think he's
Only
that good.
yeah.
I think he's that good of a receiver.
But also, I think that's from us again.
It's
The situation is impossible for us to look at because you again with the Panthers, he becomes options 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So
I just mean
don't
a team that doesn't have a number one. I think his talent is high enough that he could be. I think he has that kind of talent.
I think there's several teams that would love to have him as their number one receiver. If that's what you're asking, then yes.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I could add on Devontae Smith was kind of comparing him with AJ Brown. You know, a bunch of what ifs. One thing I always look at is like AJ Brown is like he's huge. You know, injury. You know, just because Devontae Smith is a smaller guy, like it is in the back of your head.
Yeah.
You know, AJ Brown can take a beating, but
let's pull up that next page. But did Devontae Smith get hurt last year? How many games did he miss?
See, I think he had a little groin injury for like 2 or 3 weeks, but I mean nothing massive. But and I don't wish any player gets hurt, but it's just a
You
number
do wish
game.
Bryce Young get hurt.
I don't, but I do think he will get hurt.
I've got a few that I always wish, but
Josh
that's
Allen,
for
number
another,
one.
That's for another episode.
On this episode of Turf Wars, Jones lists his players he wishes tears an ACL.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let's pull it up, Josh. All right. So that's the one on the number 16 right there. When we get to
that is wild.
That's wild that he's at 16. And
that is
you will
wild.
See,
I think it is wild.
I know exactly who here has altered this ranking this much. My gosh,
anyone watching this will see very soon why he's at 16. But we'll just skip over Amon-Ra for now because we're definitely gonna get into him.
Cooper, it shocks me he's this high. I'm gonna be honest. I know he's the number one receiver there, but they have not shown the ability to be an absolutely prolific offense yet. So I don't know if this is based off of what if. I still think they're going to be a Nick Chubb first offense. And so, you know, and Deshaun's shown that he doesn't mind throwing to, even when he was at Houston. I mean, look at who he had to throw to. He doesn't mind throwing to options 4, 5, and 6, nor does he mind taking it himself. It's hard for me to see Amari Cooper finishing in the top 15 in receivers. Could be wrong, obviously, but that one's a hard one for me to look at.
I think with him, I expect him to get a high target percentage.
Okay.
Just because he clearly is the one.
Yeah.
In Cleveland versus a guy like, you know, T Higgins. You know, T Higgins is great, but you know he's going to be splitting receptions with Jamar.
Yep.
So it's a guy like Cooper, you know, maybe he has more.
I think I think this is the range I saw him in. He might be on the higher end of the range I saw him in, but it's my ranking is on, like you said, he's number one. And I think Deshaun Watson, you know, has a pretty good year. I think they got their receiver room's not that bad.
And there's a great chance I ranked him this high too.
Yeah.
I guess I'm having some retrospect of looking at some of the other people and thinking to myself, like,
if you saw these guys on the board at the same time.
If I saw these guys on the board, he's the last one of these that I want. And I'm going to be honest, I think I want Devontae Smith over him.
I don't know.
Well, that's
and that might just be because, again, the offense. But
yeah,
I mean,
I see. I think I'm kind of banking on Deshaun having a big year.
So I think
well,
Deshaun.
I mean, he has to in order to prove his worth. So if that's what you're thinking, then by all means, he's going to have some of those years that the Houston receivers had, because if Deshaun gets back to even 80% of that form, then yes, Amari Cooper's got to do that. It's interesting. Did any of us go back and redo our rankings with D-Hop?
Just about to say this is still high for me.
I did.
This is too high.
I went back and moved him down. I think 3.
I think I have him lower than this. I'm pretty sure, but not. I don't think too much lower. I think he was still in that.
I think I had him around 17 or 18.
I think I'm in the same boat.
So that again might be the adjusted, like you were saying.
I think I had him 10 or 11.
Going to Tennessee, I think only tanked his value. I don't.
No,
he's going to get all the targets for sure.
I wish people
on the field.
I don't. I mean, you're going to say you're about winning. That choice to me just says I'm not about winning. That's
on I think it was our very last podcast. It may have been the one before that. Me and Chase we placed a wager on where we thought DeAndre Hopkins was going to end up. And at the end of that conversation, we said, in a few weeks, we're going to see if he really cares about winning or if he really just wanted the money. It's clear now. He really just wanted the money.
Very clear.
It's not even like
it's also probably hubris because he shares a receiving room with 4 people combined wouldn't be him. You know, so he is the clear-cut talent in that room.
See, but he's going to get all the luck. Tannehill, I'm going to assume Tannehill is going to be the starter. Now, whether Levis can come in, if the Titans are having a terrible year, if they throw him in on like week 8. But, I mean, who's Levis going to throw the ball to? He's going to throw it to DeAndre Hopkins at least 5 times out of 10.
I don't blame the Titans. The Titans are, I think it was a good move for them because it's their
and they're going to have to throw.
Yeah.
I mean, let me ask you this question. What does this do to Derrick Henry's value now?
Does it boost it?
I mean, before this week, teams were probably going to play 9 in the box.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hyperbole, obviously.
It's got to boost it.
The entire offense was going to, the entire defensive game plan was going to be designed to bottle up Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do that now?
They were gonna make Treylon Burks beat you, him and Tannehill.
Well, they signed him for 2 years. They gotta hope he's on the field for at least 13 or 14 games.
Could this be similar to the Colts signing Stephon Gilmore last year? Could we see him traded after? Could we see him traded after this year?
Like doing everything they can to not rebuild is what the Titans are about to go through, and they're in a weird spot, kind of like the Colts and the Panthers have been in. Where it's like,
I don't know why you draft Levis unless you were trying to rebuild. It's not like a Jordan Love situation where you're doing it to light a fire under Tannehill.
Yeah,
that fire cannot be rekindled. So,
Tannehill's proven he can take you to the playoffs. I don't think he could win a Super Bowl.
They were the 1 seed just a couple
of
years
ago. The AFC has changed a lot since they were the 1 seed.
Yeah. That's a good transition into this number 13 guy. I've seen a lot of people are really big on him. A lot of people think he could even almost bring the gap towards Chase even. And maybe he finishes somewhere in the 9 to 10 range where Jamar Chase finishes somewhere in the 6 to 7 range even.
I can see them finishing very close together. I'm not like putting my money on that, but I'm like you just said, I'm on the Higgins train for sure.
You were on the Higgins train last year too, if I recall.
Chase, I think Chase thinks you can stop me if I'm wrong, Chase, but I think you think the Bengals are gonna have to let Higgins walk.
What are they gonna do?
I think they're gonna pay him. I think they're gonna say, the hell with the defense. We're keeping Joe Burrow, we're keeping Jamar Chase, we're keeping T.
They kept, and they re-signed Joe Mixon too, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they restructured his deal.
They're all in for the Super Bowl. Obviously, they have very high odds to win it.
Well, this window of theirs where they can afford these players on these salaries right now is quickly coming to an end. I mean, it's a very Buffalo Bills situation of,
and we just saw they lost I think both their safeties in free agency. That's
Yeah.
why I think they're going all in on the offense.
They're seeing what the
And
Chiefs are doing. They're
we'll see if
copying. They're
we'll see if
copying
it pays off.
The Chiefs blueprint, man.
Well,
But
and then Debo, I know, Josh, you tell me a little bit about why you're not so high on Debo.
I like Debo. I think it's just the offense. Like they can go in 7 different routes. They can hand the ball off to McCaffrey. They can pass the ball to McCaffrey. They can go to Debo. They can go to Kittle. They can go to
They can
Ayuk.
run.
I mean,
They can run the ball with Debo. They can.
yeah,
No,
they can put Trey Lance in and have him do a hand around. Like, there's just I don't know.
Are you? Let me
There's
ask you
so
this
many
though:
weapons.
Are you a believer in Brock Purdy?
Absolutely, I am.
So you don't think an entire offseason a coach is planning for Brock Purdy is going? You think he's literally got that it factor? Because one of my best friends says the same thing. He said he fits the eye test more than your typical Mr. Irrelevant.
I think there's just a swagger to Purdy that all the players in the locker, like if you ask Kittle, Debo, and McCaffrey who the starting quarterback should be if all 3 were healthy, I think every one of them would pick Brock Purdy. Even though
trying to
Trey
boost
Lance,
Trey.
even though they traded 3 first-round picks to move up, take Trey Lance, Brock Purdy just came in there and said, "Look, I got one shot," and he just started slinging it. And if he doesn't get hurt, I think they're in the Super Bowl.
No.
The way he ended the season last year, I don't know about the Super Bowl, but the way he ended the year, you don't, unless you have some sort of it factor, you don't walk on the field. I know it's the 49ers and Shanahan and all that. Like, you can plug and play anybody. Sam Darnold might look good this year if he plays. But you don't walk in with playoffs on the line and do what he did if you don't have something in you. He's got something.
I'm just not sold that he's going to be the long-term solution there.
I don't think so either. I agree with that.
I'm worried he was a flash in the pan. I mean,
let me ask you this question.
2019 Kyle Allen could have done it.
we know Sam Darnold's not the long term. And if you have questions on Purdy, do you think it's Trey Lance or do you think they go draft another quarterback, or after next year do they sign Kirk Cousins? Because we know Shanahan loves Kirk Cousins.
They're hyping up Trey Lance right now.
I think there's a bit of hubris that they took Trey Lance number 2 overall, that they still want to see if that was what they thought the future could be.
It's still the same staff that traded up.
I think they should see. Trey Lance has played what? 1 game?
And it wasn't that game in like torrential downpour last year, against the Bears, where it was like you couldn't even see 10 feet in front of you.
I think Trey Lance has been extremely unlucky, but there's no way I'm taking a guy who went 8-1 last year and putting him on the bench. I don't know how you do that.
And Lance is still 23?
And he's still young.
He's younger than Will Levis,
Yeah.
So,
let's see these next ones.
Yeah,
we're getting towards our top 10. This is where we should start seeing. God, I can't believe Sun God is that low. That is, good Lord. Wow.
Now we're getting into like freak athletes here.
This is looking at this screen. If I had all 5 of these guys on the board, obviously AJ Brown is the one. For me at least, I think you could argue the other ones, but for me, it'll be AJ.
But for me, it's going to be either CD or Wilson.
Are you?
Dude, I don't remember my ranking, so I could be taking that back.
Are y'all saying just for the season or like franchise going forward?
I'm saying
franchise going forward.
Again, franchise going forward, obviously. But I'm saying for this season, I mean, this is fantasy rankings for this year. I'm saying if all 5 of these players, it's my pick, and I need a receiver, and I have between these 5, it's hard for me to pass up Lamb or Wilson. I think the rapport that Dak Prescott has with Lamb is going to be, or that he had this past year, was awesome, and so it can only get better or at least stay the same. Wilson had an amazing year, and he had one of the worst quarterbacks on the planet throwing him the ball for half the season.
I think Wilson,
I can only see that go up, or at least.
If I had to pick one just for this year, it'd be Wilson. And I don't even know. This is going to sound so dumb. I think Wilson is probably the most underrated receiver in like the top 20. Like
I mean,
he played with the aggregate worst quarterback play in the league last year, and had like 6 or 8 touchdowns and 1,300 yards.
But we don't. I know that
He is going. He
listen,
is going to have like I think he has over 1,500 yards, over 10 touchdowns this year.
I'm not as
So-
I'm high on him, but I'm not. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers even likes the kid yet, and if he doesn't,
I
he
think
ain't going to see the
I
ball.
don't think he'd be sit. I don't think you would see Aaron Rodgers has a very tight friend group. I don't think you're going to see Aaron Rodgers taking Garrett Wilson to sit courtside in Madison Square Garden. If
Aaron Rodgers was on a date with Angelina Jolie, all right, and he brought along the other kids because
he wouldn't have brought him along if he had liked them.
Because Joe, what's his name, the GM, told him bring these kids along. You got to make it look like y'all like each other. And we don't know if Aaron Rodgers likes these guys, and if he doesn't, he's not going to throw him the ball.
If he didn't like these guys, he would have just retired.
So I want to go back. I want to go actually. Let's table
Dramatic.
Aaron Rodgers.
I'm being a little dramatic.
Okay. Yes, we know you hate him, but that's fine.
I don't hate him. You
do.
Yes, you
make.
do. Yes,
No, I
do.
don't.
Stop.
No, I don't.
Just stop. Okay.
No, your hate for Cam makes me dislike.
I think there is a solid chance that DK Metcalf we end up talking about as a top 6 or 7.
Booyah!
I think
I can't get behind that.
See, if I recall, he's in a contract year. And I think he developed the rapport, and then just look at the man's physical stature.
He got out of the first round will never make sense to me.
He's a freak physically. I think honestly, Seattle is going to have to score and they're going to have to use him. So I do like him. I don't think I would still take him over any of these other 4. But what I'm saying is that at the end of the year, don't expect to see him another 3 or 4 points higher, especially if he starts catching the amount of touchdowns that he was before.
Well, let's.
I think he is
Waddle.
A freak of nature.
Does Waddle scare you?
Absolutely.
Waddle scares the heck out of me.
I've got Waddle up there with
this
Higgins.
Is the man
he's going up against the second best corner on everyone's team.
But this is from a man that wrote. I mean, I did a draft pick swap with I traded with Chase last year so that he could have McCaffrey, and it netted me Waddle out of just a whole mishmash of swap selections.
That trade was a good trade, by the way. Look back at that.
Oh, it certainly worked out for me. You were on the playoffs looking in. I was in the playoffs playing.
No, so. for both sides, that trade was actually for how long it took to do that trade. That ended up working out okay.
Yeah, well, Waddle scares me from the standpoint of when it's not Tua throwing him the ball, it goes down.
Yep.
And I don't know if we can, with any degree of certainty, say Tua is going to play 75% of the games. I mean, there's a chance he gets a concussion and he's done with football for ever. So
I think their backup situation's a little better this year. I think Mike White's actually got some upside.
Mike White is okay, you make a really good point with that. I do agree. He's not. That's not Teddy Bridgewater out there,
or Keenan Thompson. I think was the
Skyler.
It was Skylar Thompson, who should have beat the Bills in the playoff, lost by 1 point. Yeah.
So Mike White, who's got more spunk, Mike White or Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy.
No,
bro, the Mike White train was chugging along when he hit the scene, dude.
That locker room loved him.
Well, let's go on to the next one. Let's go to the next.
All right. So with CD, I think CD led a lot of people to their fantasy playoffs and a lot of fantasy success last year. I think there's no reason to think that that's not going to at least stay the same or even get a little bit better. Did they lose Schultz or did they retain Schultz?
He went to the Texans.
Yep.
So I mean, that's a few more targets.
Yep.
I think his ability to be able to line up at every place on the field too is a bonus for being able to plug him in. He's not just going to be your slot person. He's not going to be just boxing someone out on the outside. I think there is a plethora of different routes he runs, and it's obvious that Dak, for what it's worth, and you know my feelings on Dak, for what it's worth, Dak really does trust him and seems to even want to force feed him the ball.
I think I am a little lower on CD than the both of y'all. I just don't see him as a top 10 in the NFL. And I think it is mainly because I don't trust Dak. And that I was going to mention something about DK Metcalf. Chase is high on Geno. I'm really not that high on Geno. And that's I think that's why I had DK a little.
Well,
I'm lukewarm on
high
Geno.
high doesn't mean top 10
I
quarterback.
think you had him ranked like 13th or 14th, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I had
him
him.
Did y'all do a
25th.
Did y'all do
Yeah.
a quarterback ranking?
Yeah, but not fantasy. We didn't
Not
do
fantasy.
Okay. I was like, man, the guru missed out on this. So
No, we didn't do it. We're going to do the fantasy ranking.
I think Geno had a great year. He's going to have to prove it in year 2 for me to keep on that train. I don't know.
I wouldn't fault you. DK's darn good. CD.
Yeah. DK is an animal. He's huge.
I think, and as much as I like to knock it, you know, the Dallas offense, especially for the division they play in, and I mean the conference they're in, the teams they're going to be playing, the Dallas offense should put up numbers.
I do think their running game, I think them getting rid of Zeke is going to help a lot. I think it was obvious last year Pollard should have been getting all the snaps.
Imagine if he got 100 more touches, what that offense would have been.
I know.
Pollard also had an injury, if I recall. He missed a game or two, didn't he? Or he was limited in a couple of games. Maybe. Towards the end.
Yeah, he may have been. I think it was just like, you know, Dallas is such a marketing. They're easily the most marketable team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And then Zeke's been their, you know, a top 15 running back in the league for 5 years. And, you know, Jerry loves.
He's a Jerry Jones guy. So
yeah.
He's arguably been more of a face than Dak has.
Dak.
I mean, when you think of the Cowboys, you think of Zeke, which is kind of weird to say, but you know, he broke out.
I thought it was obvious that Pollard was better than Zeke.
Yeah,
but they kept just pounding Zeke.
Yep.
Do you? I mean, I know we've already touched on AJ Brown, and I mean, I don't know if there's anything else we need to say about Wilson, because I think we're all respecting Wilson. I think Josh and I might have Wilson a little bit higher than Chase does. However, I think it's AJ Brown. We've already mentioned what he can do. It's just, you know, will it be enough to keep him in this top 10? Will his stats be enough to keep him in the top 10 in such a prolific offense that is going to be distributing the ball not only to multiple receivers, but then you're going to have 3 and 4 different running threats at the same time?
Well, if anyone's a red zone threat,
I think this year AJ Brown averages 100 yards a game. I think he's around the 16 to 1700.
That's all. Hey, well then,
a hot take, baby. We'll come back to that.
We'll see. Yeah. He's just. Why would you not throw a 50-yard vertical to him?
Hey, just real quick, I noticed that Michael Pittman wasn't in the top 26.
We're gonna get into it. See, he was one of my rankings, and
Josh has got some notes. He's got some notes over here about Pittman's stats.
Yeah.
He's ready to.
All right. Well, hey, let's see this top 6, or let's see the
6 through 2.
Yeah.
Well, this is where we get to the big boys. And what can you get all 5 of these on the board?
You're
take them.
Depending on where you are in your draft. I mean, some of these are, 2 of these may even be locks for first round picks.
I think 3 of them.
3.
Maybe even 3 of them are.
At this point, I mean, all of these at some point in time in the past 3 years have been probably taken either at the end of round 1 or at the beginning of round 2 in some form or fashion. I think I think I have literally zero issue where any of these are placed. I think Diggs could end up as high as 3 to 4. I also think he could end up as low as 10 or 11. I don't know what is going on in Buffalo between him and Josh.
Trouble in paradise.
It's not nothing.
Well, if you ask some of the more homerific Bills fans that we both know, they'll tell you that it's just, it's the media making a big deal about it, or
Wide receivers
there's
are drama.
no issues, that
Yeah.
yes, or wide receivers are just prone to it. Let me put it this way: Josh Allen doesn't go on and do a press conference and say that some of whatever it is his fault if it's nothing. You know what I mean? You don't.
Yep.
You don't take blame just to take blame.
Yep.
So I don't know what that is. I don't know if it will affect them. We know that Josh Allen is going to target him. We know that he is going to be force-fed the ball. We know that he is a threat to score any and all times. I do think he's going to see more double coverage because let's be honest, Gabriel Davis is trash. And so after him, are they just going to go with 2 tight end sets? Are they going to be, Dalton Kincaid probably can't, I doubt Dalton Kincaid could block a cornerback, but, he's going to basically be a receiver. So,
and tight end guys like that don't break out that soon. Even Kyle Pitts, who was
people don't realize rookie tight ends, it's a
different ball game, man.
A lot of my Bills friends tell me that he won't have to learn the ins and out of tight end because he's just going to be a receiver. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, let's see him miss an assigned block on a linebacker that leads to a blindside on Joshy Poo, and let's see how they feel about that.
I don't think he's anywhere close to starting over Dawson Knox day one.
Oh no, but I think they're going to run 2 tight end sets. I think they see they see just, they've got that greed in their eyes that they think that, oh, these guys are going to be like taking the ball from each other out of the end zone, catching it. But
do they start running the ball a lot more?
Absolutely not. Okay. Every single year they say, we have to reduce Josh Allen's, assigned runs or planned runs.
Who's gonna
every single year?
You
know what? I would be willing to bet the Bills look at it and say, yes, we're not doing that this year. And I'm willing to bet Josh Allen looks over and says, no, dogs, I'm still running it.
Yep.
So I think Josh calls his own number a little bit more than the Bills feel comfortable with. But that doesn't dilute the talent of Diggs, and it doesn't dilute the fact that he could, again, be a stud. But it just bears in mind that when you see any of these, I would honestly take I'd be hard pressed to turn down any of the other 4 over Diggs. I would understand why someone took him over Adams or Kupp, but I would be hard pressed to take one of them over him.
Well, it's a proven, whatever you think the word elite means, it's a proven elite number 1 guy on one of the best teams of the league. So it's like, what else can you really fantasy wise, what else can you? So he's going to be him and Adams are the fringe top, first round picks. Talking about Adams, man. Adams is still Adams. If Jimmy G's healthy, I still trust Devontae. I don't trust Josh McDaniels in that offense at all.
Devontae Adams scares the piss out of me, but he is still Devontae. That you said it.
Yep. He's going to get open. He's going to catch the ball if it's thrown at him. And if Josh McDaniels learned anything from last year, throw the ball to Devontae.
Right.
I personally believe Adams is the best receiver in football. Just for fantasy, he's not in the best position.
Yep.
I understand that. I definitely.
I do think there is a clear gap between 5 and 6 here, though. I think Devontae Adams is significantly better than Stephon Diggs. I really do. No, maybe not in fantasy necessarily, but just as a wide receiver, I'd want on my team. I think Adams.
the difference is Josh Allen versus Jimmy G.
Yeah, and that's why for fantasy it may be closer. But
Well,
so Josh, tell me why. I if I recall looking at some of our rankings, what is your hesitation with Cooper Kupp? Because
Stafford.
he was a fantasy god for a year and a half. Even last year until the injury.
There's been rumors the Rams have looked into trading Stafford. You know,
I know they wanted Stafford to take a pay cut. I do know that.
Yeah, and I think this is Stafford's last year in LA. You know, Stafford got hurt. You know, he was out for a lot of last year. I think he came back towards the end, but who's their backup quarterback now? Stetson Bennett? I don't trust him. Is Stafford's arm healed? I'd much rather have Jamar Chase, you know, but strictly because of Burrow. I'd rather have Tyreek Hill just because he is the best.
But say Stafford's arm is healed, and even if you get 80% of Super Bowl Stafford, I mean, Kupp is unreal.
I just don't think they have even though I have Debo ranked lower, the Rams don't have the weapon. I just feel like he's going to be double covered a lot.
They trade away Allen. Still won triple.
I know, but they at least had Allen Robinson. They had Cam Akers. I don't think they're huge on Cam Akers anymore. They traded Allen Robinson away. It's like everyone knows where the ball's going. They know where it's going.
True. That's a good point.
You know, a dude like Chase, you have T. Higgins on the other side.
And Tyreek
Where is the ball?
Tyreek Hill's got Jalen
Waddle, yeah. I still love Cooper Kupp. I mean, I still think it's great.
It's also wild too that we do put Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill this high with the other weapons that are they're the very talented weapons that are on the other side of them. But I guess it just screams at just how talented they really are, you know,
and how many points their offense has put up.
Well, I think it helps them though.
Personally.
I think Waddle and Higgins help Tyreek and Jamar, because if they didn't have them, they're going to be double covered. How can you afford to double cover one of them now?
Yeah, you can't.
That's why. Some people think you got 1-on-1 with a streak with Tyreek running down there. Send it.
Yeah, and some people think that having two good receivers or even three, at that matter, means there is no number one, or that Chase is just his value is just shot because Higgins is going to take up too much. He's still going to get 30 or 35% target share.
Oh, I mean, I think it might even be more because
that's what I mean. No matter how good the next two guys are,
Joe Burrow loves him.
Yep.
You know, there are games where it's almost like Joe Burrow realizes, I haven't been throwing the ball to Chase enough. Let's get it to him now. Yeah. Even though it's not the right play, but it's almost like something clicks in him where he's like, I got to take care of my boy. Yeah. Or I got to go to my boy, even when it's a bad idea. And when really good quarterbacks want to make those kind of decisions, I would love to have whoever they're throwing it to on the other end. That's kind of why I like CeeDee Lamb so much.
That's what Aaron and Devontae have for a long time.
Is that what Rodgers is going to do for Lazard this year?
That's what he's gonna do for Garrett Wilson.
Man, Lazard's his boy, man. Him and Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb wide receiver 1 this year.
Randall Cobb.
You buy the hype with Tyreek Hill calling his number, calling his shots.
I don't think he's gonna have 2,000. I think he has every bit of 1,600 and 12 touchdowns.
He's got the talent to.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't just say that if he didn't know something.
I wouldn't bet on the over, but
no.
I wouldn't
bet on the over, but I would bet on the over, but I would happily draft him.
Yeah. He's still gonna have an unreal season, you know.
That offense, if with Tua's not, me and Josh, we're not very high on Tua, but we, he's shown when he's healthy and out there, he can put the ball in the playmaker's hands. He's not an idiot, but Hill is unreal.
Hill is also perfect for short passes and intermediate passes. He is perfect.
Like a 1-yard pass, 70 yards to the house.
Yeah. He can do a shuffle pass. He is dangerous from any of the spots that he can line up at.
Yep. It's just that after the catch, man. And you're not catching up to him. You can put the best corner on the league and he's still going to be slower than him. So,
and honestly, I don't mind. I don't mind 3 2, and I know who we all have as our unanimous number 1. I mean, you are going to be lucky and you are going to be blessed if you have one of those top 3 on your team. Yeah. I personally believe it.
I'm putting Cup right there too, man.
I think there's a small, not even a drop off, just few degrees of separation between those 3 and Cup. And again, it comes back to quarterback. And I just think Tyreek Hill, it has more raw talent than Cup does, especially after the catch and things like that.
That's I don't disagree with that. Last question before we go to the number 1. What scares you more, Tua or Stafford, Josh?
I'll say the Rams quarterback position, just because I feel better about Mike White than I do Stetson Bennett.
Well, I think they brought in Mike White as a fail-safe because again, we are one bad to a concussion from retirement.
Yeah. Well, and Mike White can sling it. I mean, he's not going to be afraid to throw a 50-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill.
He's got the arm to
do it. If it gets intercepted, it gets intercepted.
Mike White's got an arm, dude. He's got a cannon. Yeah. Well, let's jump to that number 1. I don't think there's going to be too much to say here.
His target share is going to be unbelievable.
I will not, with the way the running back position looks this year, I'm not going to be surprised to see him go. For the last 5 seasons, it's like wide receiver in the top 2 or 3. What are we doing? Besides Cup, maybe, but like this, he's got that post 2021 Cup status right now.
He's got 6 games in his division 2 against the Packers, the Lions, and the Bears.
If he goes number 1 in any of the drafts we're in, I'm not going to be surprised at all.
Right.
At all. They drafted Jordan Addison. I don't think that does anything to his value. Dalvin Cook's leaving. That only helps him.
If anything, I think Addison.
I think Addison's an upgrade over. I think Addison's an upgrade over Thielen.
As a franchise, yeah, probably.
If you can, at least, I don't know if you can necessarily just purely count on, we're going to double him every time now, because I do think Osborne and Addison can make you pay.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think so. And Hawkinson.
And we know Kirk loves him, even though, Justin didn't put him in his top 5.
He had him at 6. He had him at 6.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot to be said about the top 5, man. I mean,
yeah,
top 5's top 5.
Kirk handled it well. Did you see his response?
I think it's obvious, though. Kirk is not top 5.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I mean, a lot of people don't even have Kirk as top 10.
Kirk's not going to be a Viking next year.
He'll be a 49er unless they win the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy.
Well,
Brock Purdy's Super Bowl is wild to think.
It is.
It's woo.
But
hey,
at the same time,
Garoppolo making at the same time was wild to think.
Would you feel much better about betting on a 49ers trip to the Super Bowl or a Bengals trip to the Super Bowl? I think the 49ers have better odds.
They should, because of the I mean, I'm not saying
the conference is weaker.
The conference is weaker, and every other portion of the game, every other bit of their team is stacked. The only one that's not stacked, really, is the quarterback. I mean, they have.
I'm going Bengals on that one, dude. I'm not betting against Burrow.
You're saying it's better odds that Joe Burrow goes through Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and let's just say Deshaun Watson, Justin Herbert, than it is that Brock Purdy goes through Jalen Hurts.
We're talking about
Chase is sleep deprived. Don't listen.
Hold on. Listen.
I don't think it's better odds with Burrow going through all of those quarterbacks to get to the Super Bowl than is the 49ers.
I think I'm not. If you were to, anyone who picks the 49ers, I'm not sitting here like trashing you for that. But Burrow, he's only gotten better every year, right? The team has only gotten better every year. We're sitting here. We've already agreed he's the second best QB in the league. Why are we sitting here worried about him going through QBs and teams that we think are worse than the Bengals and himself?
Because he in the AFC, you have to go through a gauntlet.
I get it. And who else is going to do it but him and Mahomes? Burrow Burrow is the number 2.
I will not bet against Patrick Mahomes.
I'm not betting
ever.
against Burrow,
I'm
man.
not
I'd rather bet
against
against Burrow than bet against Purdy. That's my only reason.
See, but I would much rather bet on the 49ers than on the Bengals.
I agree.
Obviously, I like Burrow better.
I don't think it's crazy either way. It's a really good question. That was a very good question.
I think the 49ers have the best overall team between those two.
And coaching staff.
But
and a way easier route.
I think Joe Burrow is, probably 10 times the quarterback. However, and that is such an important position, but is there anyone on the Bengals defense that scares you? I mean, at the very least, a very young O-line would have to worry about that defensive front for the 49ers. And, I don't think the 49ers, it's not an easy time for Burrow if they play. That's not going to be one of those Joe Burrow stacks it up game.
Like I said, that's a great question because there will be people that go both sides.
Yeah.
I go Burrow because of Burrow. That's all. That's really it.
I go
this league is quarterback.
I go intelligence.
Easily have.
I go intelligence and just look at the numbers of the worst, the worst of the two conferences and the teams that they would have to play.
Yeah.
But
the 49ers are a better team than the Bengals.
Agreed.
The Bengals just have a much better quarterback.
Agreed.
But the 49ers in a much easier conference too. There's a lot of
so what are the if it was guaranteed that he had to face, let's say he had to face Herbert, Allen, and Mahomes to even get to the Super Bowl, I'm not
betting on him.
Oh no. I'm probably going Purdy at that point. If we're guaranteed he has to face those 3 guys.
It's going to be some combination of that.
He's going to get at least one of them, but he could only face
even
one.
throw in Lawrence. I mean,
yeah.
If we're
throwing Anthony Richardson, the Greek god. I mean, are you kidding me?
Man, this is going somewhere.
Now, Jones, I just want you to know, the more you talk with us and the more you hang out with Josh, you're going to realize he's a worse version of me. I just want you to know that.
He's the most athletic quarterback to ever come through the draft. That's a fact.
If the only way this ever gets to this point is if Richardson joins Cam Newton in having a broken brain, the way he
Anthony Richardson's not afraid to dive on the football, though. That's
true. That's a good point. I would be willing to bet Anthony Richardson has been coached to not ridicule women at press conferences either.
I would agree.
So
yeah.
Let's see
Anthony Richardson's
comparisons.
Stand up guy. Yeah, let's get into the rankings individually. Let's go. Y'all see that?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
See it.
So just let me give a little breakdown on kind of how I did it, just so everyone watching can understand. Obviously, Josh, Chase, Jones, each one of these is our list of our top 30 guys. Combined, what I did, I gave each one a number ranking of where we ranked them, and then divided by 3 comes out with our average. And then what the list we just went through was the top 26, combined. So, but now we get into why I think St. Brown's the 29th best receiver, and they have him much, much higher.
I think I'm just gonna turn my camera off and let you talk about St. Brown when we get to him, because I don't want my face involved with St. Brown being at the number 20. But let's just talk about, you want to go from top or bottom up or top down?
Either way, don't matter.
Let's go.
I think we have to go from top down, just because that's where you're gonna. I mean, as we get to the bottom, we could have a plethora of people ranked 10 spots apart. So I think
I'll do it. Let's go top down. I mean, so we obviously got Jefferson number 1. Already talked about him. Not much else to say. This is where we get a little different here. Josh, your 2, 3, 4 is Hill, Chase, Wilson. So you have Wilson above Adams, above AJ Brown, above
strictly for fantasy. Like I said, I think Devontae Adams, in my mind, he's the best receiver in football. I truly believe he's better than Justin Jefferson. It's just, is Jimmy G even going to play? I mean, I think the Raiders still have it out in the contract.
I just feel like you're
And I
selling your
think
soul. You're selling your soul for Wilson, who's had one, above average rookie year under his belt.
he had 1,300 yards with the worst combined quarterback play in the league.
And we don't know what it looks like with Rodgers. We don't.
Well, it's definitely not the worst quarterback play in the
The
league.
receiver room is better, right? I mean, he's not going to get everything. I don't think. Yeah, he's going to be the number one. I have him. Where do I? I have him at.
You have him.
What do I have?
12.
Wilson? At 12. I'm not sitting here. I just think top four is kind of over Adams and Cup specifically is just
strictly in fantasy, just because. Like I said, he's not my fourth. He's not the fourth best receiver in the league. I just think he's primed for a great year.
Yeah,
and I think the Jets are too.
I think if you look in the top 10 for each of us, we each have two members of our top 10 that the others wouldn't even consider putting in. Okay. And I think, it is wild to me that there are that amount. However, cases have been made for all of them. I mean, just looking at Lamb, even knowing that basically Chase and I, we're believers in Lamb. Josh, you're not quite as much. All right.
I just don't trust that.
And and if you look at Chase has Higgins in the top 10, and Josh, you and I we're not quite as big of believers in him. Yep. And so it's fascinating for me to see, especially again, the top six. Each of us have basically five of those top six in there. You're the only one that has a flyer on Wilson, and you make great points with that.
You got Wilson at 8.
Both of y'all are higher on AJ Brown than I am, even though I think AJ Brown is going to be studly. But I also think St. Brown could just absolutely torch it up this year. But St. Brown won people a lot of money last year. A lot. But he has Jared Goff throwing it to him, so I get it. I do. But
my only argument was or we'll get into St. Brown later. Let's keep going down.
We got Hill pretty much number 2.
Right.
Jones, you've got him number 3.
And again, that's just because of the quarterback.
Yep. And then
if you put a gun to my head and said Hill and Chase, you have to take one of them, I wouldn't know which one I wanted to take. It would have been on that day. So I have no issues with him being the number 2 one on here. I have no issues with that whatsoever.
Chase was the one who brought DK down in the rankings a little bit.
Chase did bring DK down. I noticed that.
Listen, 14 is still a top 14 receiver. I mean, that's not, that's not a slouch. But adding in Jigba, Tyler Lockett's still there. It's not going to be all DK. I think DK is the best receiver on that team, but the situation held me back a little bit.
Yeah. D-Hop's still in the top 10 is.
He won me my league last year too.
Yeah.
He came back.
I find it really, and maybe you can speak to this, Chase. I find it fascinating that you have 2 pairs of teammates in the top 10. With Hill and Waddle, and then Chase and Higgins. That to me is, I could see somebody making a case for one of them, maybe.
I could see the Hill and Waddle, maybe.
I think it goes back to when we were talking about them earlier, because I said when we were talking about Waddle after Higgins, and then we talked about Waddle, I was saying I've got Waddle right there with Higgins. Those offenses, the play calling, everything, they're going to be, I don't know what their numbers were the last 3 seasons, but they're going to be top 10 minimum in scoring, no matter what. Those teams are going to score, and who is going to be doing the scoring? So I think they put up enough I get what you mean. It's kind of a stretch to have two duos in the top 10. But I think the teams only got better. I think the quarterbacks, with Tua's Tua, Joe Burrow's only going to get better. Tua's only going to get better, if he's on the field. So I only see up for the duos. So, but I get it. It's kind of a stretch to have two top 10 duos for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's go. What's the best way? What's the best way to approach this? Because it's kind of like we're kind of jumping. We're going.
Well, and honestly, I think that might be what we do is we just do a round robin rotation of
Just
what
talk
stands
about
out. What stands out to you? And we can start with Josh. Josh, you can either pick something from both mine and Chase, or something from one of the two, or maybe something from yours. What is just one thing that stands out to you as a difference that and why did you see it, or what aren't we seeing? And I can go first because I am floored that Olave. Now I do know why Olave was ranked so low now. Like 26 to me is that's a little insulting to him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, that shows you I have him half as high as you do. And then,
Right.
Chase only has him 3 spots below me. So, what are it makes me wonder, what are Chase and I seeing? What are you seeing that we're not to have him that low? So I'll pick Olave as my talking point and ask you, what are you seeing?
Yeah, it's kind of the rookie thing. It's, with Derek Carr coming in, new quarterback throwing to him. Like Chase said, we got the slot boy coming back this year. Is Jarvis on the Saints? I'm pretty sure
Jarvis Landry, I think he's still there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Kamara, it's just, low key, the Saints. I have the Saints the favorite for that division. I think they're gonna be
I
really
don't even
good.
think it's close. I don't think it's close. It's got to be the Saints.
Yeah. I think they have a sneaky good team, and I think, I don't think he's gonna get the target share like Terry McLaurin does,
Okay.
or Debo, or any of our top guys. But I don't know. I guess I don't really watch the Saints a ton either. That I could be biased. That may be a bias on my part, but I don't know.
Going off of Olave, the fact that you have Pittman over Olave is I don't think it's crazy to have Olave that low. It's 10 spots below me, but Olave is one of those guys. It's like if MT plays, if Kamara's goes back to his old self, who knows what Olave's going to look like.
I can't believe DJ Moore is ahead of him.
we all got DJ Moore in the same area. So, but you have Michael Pittman. We don't even have Michael Pittman ranked, and this guy's got him above Olave, above some of these. I mean, above.
I'm a little angry
Amon
at
Rob
myself for having DJ Moore this high.
Stop. Listen, we're trying to draw attention off of DJ Moore. He's not even a Panther anymore. All right. Listen, I'm telling you, Josh is a worse homer than me, Joe. This guy has Pittman above Ridley, above DJ Moore, Olave, St. Brown. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
I just think Pittman is a certified one on our team. He's gonna get the most targets on our team.
Who's throwing in the ball?
The most athletic quarterback in NFL.
Okay, so he throws the ball 17 times a game. 8 for 17.
And we'll have to see.
A touchdown and 2
We'll have to see. I don't know. We'll see. But
Justin Fields is a better
one.
Justin Fields is a better passer than Anthony Richardson is, and they don't even pass the ball.
We don't know that.
He is. He's proven he's a better passer.
They had the number 1 pick in the draft.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm not saying Justin Fields is good by any means, but coming out of college, Justin Fields was, it's Ohio State, but I don't think Anthony Richardson would have.
I think with mine, the Pittman over DJ Moore is like, do I feel more confident that Pittman is going to have? He knows our offense. He's been the number 1 for 2 years now. I think maybe this may be his 3rd or 4th year, but he definitely knows our offense. I think he's going into his 4th year. So he's been in there 3 years. He knows our offense. Everyone knows him. He's our number 1. It's just consistency. He's going to be there for Anthony Richardson versus you look at a guy like DJ Moore. Him and Pittman are close. But DJ Moore's going into a new offense. He's got to learn a new playbook. You know, he may be the number one, but you do have a guy in Chicago and Darnell Mooney. You know, does Darnell Mooney and Justin Fields already have that relationship, or is DJ Moore walking in? And he's a certified one.
DJ Moore is a better receiver. He's better after the catch. He's a better route runner. Pittman is bigger. That's all he's got on. And I think quarterback situation, they're in the same boat. So you having them back to back,
I'm just taking the consistency with Pittman's been in our offense for 3 years.
Listen, outside of DJ Moore, you got him above Ridley and Amon-Ra.
Ridley hadn't played in a year, and I just don't trust him.
The last time we saw him play, did he finish top 10 that year? I mean, he broke out, dude. He looked.
But he hadn't played football in a year. I don't know.
He's only going to a better team, a better coach, a better quarterback. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
The Pittman
All
thing.
Right, Josh, what about you? What's an outlier, or what stands out to you about something that you would like to ask?
I think both of y'all have Mike Williams a little low. I think he could definitely.
I certainly have him low, and I took it from the standpoint of, he was on Chase's team last year, and I just watched him languish, and then it was almost like it was kind of a metaphor for him languishing in LA as well. I think there's a trust issue there, because there were games where Mike Williams should have been the certified number one, where his targets should have been double what they were for any of the other receivers, and they still didn't want to get him the ball, and he still didn't really want to catch the ball. To me, sometimes he feels like he only wants to be a home run hitter, and it would be dumb of me to not put him at least in the top 30, because with that home run potential comes a lot of points. But to me, when I looked at all the other people I had ranked ahead of him from a fantasy standpoint, it was slightly above of what could be or a proven commodity. Could I see myself taking Mike Williams over London? Sure. Could I see myself taking him over Jerry Jeudy? Oh, I don't know. Certainly not Tony, but I could make a case over Mike Williams for every single person I have up there, with the exception of maybe DJ Moore. And I'm biased towards him. I know one up there that none of you even have near is Deontay Johnson, and I'll make that my talking point next time I get to ask a question, because I'm curious to hear y'all's comments on him. But that's my case on Mike Williams. Chase?
So Mike Williams, I have him just a little bit higher than you.
Yeah.
I'm literally in the middle of you guys. I'm 5 up and 5 down. You pretty much said it all. Speaking from having him myself, he did not show. There was a stretch where Keenan Allen got hurt for a long time, and Mike Williams was supposed to be the guy, and it just was so disappointing. I mean, it lost me some weeks having him drop a 3-pointer. I mean, there's probably 2 weeks that I lost that would have possibly helped me make the playoffs. I'm not gonna blame it all on Mike Williams, but it hurts. I still think he could finish top 20. But last year showed that he can't get the separation like a DK can. Even though DK doesn't get crazy separation, you're hoping his ceiling is to be on that DK level, and because he's the same type of receiver. But he is still, if you throw him the ball, if it's in a 5-foot, 5-yard radius, he's gonna catch it. But with Keenan gone, like you said, it's a trust issue thing for sure.
And then the last thing I'll say on Mike Williams is there has been some rumors, this could be Keenan Allen's last year with the Chargers, or maybe they could even possibly trade him. If they trade Keenan Allen, does that shoot Mike Williams up y'all's board even more, or no?
It would it would have to, just from a target share standpoint. I mean, if Keenan Allen's not there, I don't want to sound but that's like 10 targets at least. I mean, It seems to me like Keenan Allen is always having the ball thrown his way.
Yep.
And so even if half of those then went to Mike Williams, you'd have to put him up the board.
Yeah.
So I got a question.
Okay.
And then we'll go into your Deontay Johnson question.
All right.
Which by the way, I think I have Deontay Johnson as my like fringe guy. But
He was one of my.
Let's go back to D Hop because we both have him at 18. And Josh, you have him at 10. A lot of these questions are coming at you, Josh, because you've got the biggest differences between the three. But I know you moved him down 2 spots, I believe, like you said.
Yeah, I did. I had him at 8. I moved him down at 10.
I guess we've
Once
already
I found out he joined with 10.
I know we've already kind of talked about D Hop, but this will be the last thing we talk about him. What makes you think he's going to score more points than a Waddle, a CeeDee Lamb, especially, or a Debo? I mean,
just strictly targets.
Yeah.
Who, with Waddle, Waddle is going to be competing with Tyreek Hill. Now, Waddle's still going to have a great season, but let's be honest, D-Hop is not competing with Traylon Burke. D-Hop's getting the ball.
Yeah.
And you do a play action pass with Derrick Henry, and they're going to, on some teams are going to have more people up in the box. It's a 30-yard easy.
Do you not think it's almost a guarantee? Do you not think it's almost a guarantee he's getting doubled in, especially pass first looks that they see when they see an offense lining up?
Yeah, I do remember this report came out. There's a GM, I think he was in the AFC, who said that they don't think DeAndre Hopkins can separate anymore.
I don't even know if that's his danger, though. The danger he poses is that he can just box you out. He can go up and get just about anything. But you're right. No, if they're saying he's not going to separate from, I mean, I don't. The D Hop I saw last year didn't seem like he had too much of a step gone.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. But what I'm saying is, if GMs are thinking that, and they're just going to put one dude on him, they're going to get cooked. I don't know. I see him getting targeted. I mean, if he's healthy, 10 times a game, he's going to catch 8 of those balls for 80 yards, 90 yards, a touchdown. I don't know. I think he's going to have. I think he's easily like top 10 receiver in the league. But last year he had his, scandal with, PED supposedly with the shampoo he uses or something. But I don't know.
Wild.
All right, Jones, ask your question.
Well, no, it just, again, to me, it's fascinating to look on here and you see people, I was in a mind frame of, man, I love Deontay Johnson in my top 30 and in my top 25. And it's really like, I think to myself, first of all, target wise, he was getting all of the targets. He was getting a lot of the receptions. I do think Pickens will take into it. What has to change is that there is no way if he gets the same targets and gets the same receptions, the touchdowns will follow. He went an entire year without a touchdown, if I recall. So there has to be a progression from that. You can't get worse. And so when he's all of a sudden adding 6 extra points to a few of those games where he was still getting 9 and 10 receptions and 60 or 80 yards, all of a sudden that's going to bump him into that top 25 range. Personally, everything from last year was because he just did not score. So that's my take on, and maybe I should put Deontay Johnson as kind of more of a sleeper. Maybe he's a candidate for me for, breaking into the top 20 that no one would have seen coming, but, to me, I just looked at it and I was kind of in disbelief that none of y'all had him even in the top 30.
I can kind of answer that first. I think with me, I think Pickens is going to have a really good year. And I like Deontay Johnson, but I think Kenny Pickett and George Pickens kind of have, it's not Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, but there is something. I think they have a better relationship than Deontay and Kenny Pickett. And I think year two, I think Pickens by the end of year two, I could reasonably say, he's better than Kadarius Toney after this year. I can see him kind of being verge top 20 receiver.
Chase, what about you? What's your Deontay Johnson hang up?
It's Pickens. I see Pickens and Deontay Johnson kind of that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams kind of setup going on. You got the route runner, target guy. Then you got the red zone jump ball. Both are valuable, especially in fantasy. I think it's maybe even Pickens. I think it's Pickett. I'm not sold on Kenny Pickett. Is Canada still there? Who's their play caller?
Yeah. I think he's bottom 5 OC.
He's still there. I don't know how he still has a job. Najee's not opening up the offense at all. The O-line is still bottom half, I believe. The Steelers as a whole, I'm kind of staying away from, if I'm just being honest.
They feel like they're in mud.
Yeah.
They feel like a remnant of an old style offense that hasn't quite figured out how to progress into a new age.
I'm more excited about the Titans offense than I am about the Steelers. And that might be a stretch. If I get called stupid for that, I understand. But D-Hop and just the fact of D-Hop and Henry gets me more excited.
Again, I wouldn't call you stupid because they have two legit stars where the Pittsburgh does not.
And I would take Tannehill over Pickett too.
No, you're not stupid for making that comment.
Okay.
D-Hop alone raises the Titans to much more interesting status watching than the Steelers. I mean, I don't know how much more of Mike Tomlin, screwing up a team I can watch on television anymore.
Well,
I don't know. He's never had a losing season, has he?
Okay. Again, he is a remnant. He is a coach that is desperately holding on to a style and to a mindset that is not going to bring success. And so if you're not even willing to change for success and you're willing to, it's honestly, it's kind of like, NC State when they were just happy to keep making the tournament with various coaches and not actually getting over any hump. It's just like, if your bar is set to, yes, I'll make the playoffs and finish second in my division once every 3 years, because their division is stacked. So unless you make broad scale changes, you will just continue to be bad.
Yep.
I think they're in a very similar spot as the Raiders and maybe the Patriots.
Yep.
As to they're in one of the hardest divisions in football.
If they're in the
NFC, NFC North, they're probably a playoff team. NFC West, maybe a playoff team.
NFC South,
NFC South, definitely a playoff team.
Yeah,
it's
you're right. But the thing is though, you have to adapt and change with what's around you as well, and you can't just join another division or join another conference.
Yeah,
and I mean, obviously the Bengals are not going anywhere.
Nope.
The Ravens are slightly the same mentality as the Steelers, only they just have more athletes.
They're a lot faster.
And then Cleveland is at least trying to change with the times. Whether it's successful for them or not, they are realizing that we've got to make a wholesale change in order to stay relevant. And it just doesn't seem like the Steelers want to even become relevant.
As much bad press as Cleveland got for giving Deshaun Watson that contract, as a Cleveland Browns fan, you can at least say we went for it.
Yeah.
We didn't sit on our hands.
Yeah.
I mean,
all these teams that refuse to go after Lamar Jackson this offseason, I think they're idiots.
Deshaun Watson sat on some hands, but the Browns didn't.
I agree.
Yeah. But I think Lamar is criminally underrated in the league. I don't know why there was hesitation to pay him. I mean, I guess injury concerns, but when he's on the field, he's top 5.
Yeah.
You know,
It
when he's healthy,
when he's healthy, full go, Lamar Jackson.
he's better than Herbert when he's fully healthy.
I mean, it's you're sitting there thinking they can go for a 30-yard gain at any moment, and that's including passing. I think he's got a good arm.
And this is going into this year is going to be the best wide receiving core he's ever had.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even with a older Odell Beckham Jr.
I've got a good question.
Okay.
We both Jones and I think I have Judy higher than both of you guys. But Josh, you don't even have Judy in your top 30.
I don't.
Yeah, I guess it's a Russell Wilson thing.
It's a Russell Wilson thing. I'm really low on it. I don't. I've been low on. I was low on Russ when they won the Super Bowl. I thought he was carried. I've never loved Russ, but it's also a Cortland thing. I think Cortland's a better receiver than Judy. I really do.
That's a tough one. I mean, there's an argument for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't argue with that. I think they're very similar receivers. I just, in terms of talent and in terms of production, I don't think I don't love Jerry Jeudy. I don't hate him though either.
I think the argument's kind of closer, now with the Jeudy and Cortland thing, because I think he's torn his ACL in the past 2 years, both years.
Right.
I know he tore it at least once, and then he was hurt last year too. And so Judy's supposed to be the guy. Jeudy was drafted. I think he was the 12th pick in the draft. Everyone coming out said he's supposed to be the best route runner we've ever seen. And he hasn't lived up to those expectations.
He's been good, but not like not Devontae Smith.
But not 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns like a Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle was probably a good comp to what he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Sean Payton needs a new slant boy. And if it's between him and Sutton, Judy's going to be the slant.
And maybe this is Judy's breakout year with Sean Payton.
That's what I'm banking on is Russ coming back as a top 12 quarterback, at some point, and then Sean Payton turn around the team. But I don't think it's crazy to not have him in your top 30, either one of them, just because of how bad the team looked last year for sure. But
gentlemen, I'm going to have to let you do the sleepers portion of this without me. My wife has reminded me that my kid is my responsibility starting now, or starting at 11. So I will be having to sign off. I'm sure you can see my sleepers and you will know exactly what I was thinking with them. Of course, if you have questions, I can address them when we come on briefly when we do running backs. But I know I've already sent you my list, so I look forward to whenever we get to do that one. But I'm sorry that I have to sign off at this time. But
you need to leave us with one more insult for both of us. You could lump it into one.
I mean, I cannot. I just cannot believe Josh hates St. Brown that much. Yeah, and
it's just the Lions. He's got to prove it. I don't know.
Well, get out of here, man.
Chase, you got lucky with your boy hitting a home run tonight. Just so you know.
Well, Peraza's giving me a big old egg right now. So.
Yes, yeah. Well, Mike was the one who touted him, but anyway, y'all be good.
All right, man. Peace out. Thanks for
having me. Appreciate it. We'll see you.
Well, I'm trying to think of. I'm looking. You just want to go jump into our sleepers?
Yeah, I was just gonna hop in. Straight to our sleepers.
Gotcha.
It was.
Do you have his?
Let me pull mine up. Yeah, he said he mentioned he would bring him up on the running back, so we can just save that and have him go over his sleepers.
Gotcha.
Next time
that's what we'll do.
You want to? I was just gonna throw out my top 3 sleepers.
Gotcha.
I
just do one at a time and tell me why.
Okay. I think Odell is a sleeper this year. Everyone I drafted him last year in my fantasy league just because I drafted him, I think, last round just in case he came back,
The question,
what can happen?
What are we considering a sleeper? Because OBJ is like, yeah, he's a sleeper because he's not really a top 30.
Do you think he have 1,000 yards?
Yeah. And if he stays on the field, yes. If he plays
Right.
15 games, yes.
And if you can get him in round
8.
13,
You think he'll make it all the way to 13?
well, it depends. I do play like 8-man leagues. So it
Yeah.
depends on
True.
what you're doing. But yeah, I mean, either scenario, if you're in a 10-man league, if you can get him in round 8,
Yeah.
is that good value?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
He's I kind of put my sleepers as guys out of like the top 50. Guys that are going in like a 10-man PPR is kind of what I based all my stuff off of. But OBJ is for sure. If you see a sleeper would be a wide receiver 3 or 4 that's being drafted as a 3 or 4 in fantasy, or even a flex that could finish as a 2 or 1 that ends up, by week, 8 as a locked in receiver every week. And OBJ is definitely one of those guys.
And
I think we'll see a lot of him getting drafted. I think some people will jump on him fast too, because they're going to be thinking the same thing.
I'll say my second sleeper will be Drake London. Y'all both had him ranked in y'all's top 30. It's just, I think y'all both did. I did. 27. Just the quarterback situation scares me. I do like Drake London, and if he has a good year, I won't be surprised. But I just got to see more from the quarterbacks. It's kind of scares me. And then my last sleeper, I think Jalen Hyatt could be a really, really good sleeper.
Is he going to be?
I could see him.
He's going to take some targets away from the other guys.
Yeah, well, it's like
Sterling Shepard.
Are you going to be shocked if he takes targets away from Sterling Shepard or Wan'Dale Robinson? I'm not going to be shocked if that happens.
I think Sterling Shepard's the number. Everyone forgets about him every year, and then we're getting to week, 9 or 10 in the season, and we're like, holy crap, Shepard's a top 40 again. You're sitting there like, he gets target after target after target.
Do you think it'd be crazy if Jalen Hyatt had 60 catches his rookie year?
60?
Would that be crazy?
It's not crazy. No.
So that's what I'm saying. If you can get him around kind of the same place where maybe even a little later than
he's probably going
where you go to. See, I would pick him up in one of the later rounds. I think he had a good year.
You know what? There's 17 rounds, 16 rounds, 15 rounds, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, I think it's the Giants is what scares me about it. I like the receiver, but
I think Dayball helps my argument.
Yeah.
What were your top 3?
So I had 5. I'll just do a quick ones.
Yeah.
Mechie's my number. Well, I'd say these are 5 kind of ranked. But any of them I could see being higher than the others.
Got you.
Hold on just a sec.
You're good.
So number 1's Mechie. I got Mechie.
I like that.
Robert Woods is the number 1 on that team. Tank Dell is going to be good. And they got Nico Collins. That's their 1, 2, 3 right now. Mechie's been hurt. But Mechie, man, remember at Bama, dude, he was balling out with Jameson Williams.
I think he had a health problem, and that's why he couldn't play last year.
Yeah, Bryce loved him some Mechie, dude.
He's lightning fast.
He's lightning fast, and I could see him breaking out as I could see him coming out as the number 1 receiver at the end of the year. Like, I would not be surprised if, he's probably going to be drafted in that range, like we were just talking about.
He's supposed to be, the.
He picked in the first round.
He wasn't. No. He wasn't drafted this high. So to compare him to these dudes is, maybe over exaggerating, but his game's kind of comparable to a Jalen Waddle or Jerry Jeudy.
He's just like him, dude.
Yeah, it's
the average size, but they're fast. They get separation and they got good hands. And if they take my number 2, whatever you may believe, Terrace Marshall. If he takes a jump on this Panthers offense, and he takes all the one, and he ends up, halfway through the year becoming the wide receiver 1 on this team, he's not nobody who's competing with him. I mean, Thielen's not going to be taking targets from him. Chark is just going to be a deep guy. And Terrace Marshall.
I would have liked if you went Mingo, honestly, more.
Well, Mingo's I haven't seen anything from him, so
I know.
I can't. Terrace has shown flashes. Matt Rule just didn't play him. Terrace plays a lot like Higgins. He's big and long, and he catches a lot of stuff coming his way. but he's fast enough to get some separation. I think Terrace Marshall's going to have a big year, and yes, it might be a little biased, but fantasy wise, I could see him coming out as the best receiver on the team. And then after that one, man, everybody's forgetting Marvin Jones Jr., dude. For the Lions. And dude, every year he comes out, he's still scoring points. I don't think he's going to finish as a top 20 guy. But who are the Lions? Who, if Jamison Williams ends up not being what they're hoping he is, who's catching the ball there? He's technically the number one, right?
Well, Amon-Ra.
Oh, besides Amon-Ra, it's Amon-Ra, Jones Jr., and Jamison Williams, which is a good receiving core.
Yeah.
Jones Jr. is a good 2-3. And they lost Chark, who was a big body, fast guy. But Jones Jr., who knows? But I could see taking especially in a 12-man league with less spots, taking a flyer on him. And then I got my boy Curtis Samuel.
I like that. I actually like that one. I do like that one.
He's obviously Terry's the best receiver.
Didn't Curtis Samuel get hurt last year?
He did, like week 2 or 3.
So no one's really thinking about him.
They paid him money too. They paid him more than $10 million. And Ron loves him. He drafted him. And Curtis can run the ball. He was Debo before Debo became Debo. I mean, for the Panthers, he had, I think it was like 15. I don't even remember how many yards it was, but he was running the ball, catching the ball. He was doing everything. And I could see him having enough value to be up there with Terry. Who knows, Sam Howell. It all depends on how he plays. So, and then my last one, you'll like Josh Downs. I think Josh Downs could have a really good year with who's getting the targets outside of Pittman.
They've been saying that Pierce has been looking really good this offseason, but just if Downs becomes our Wes Welker or our Julian Edelman, I like the upside.
I think Downs.
Well, once again, in a 10-man or 12-man league, you're gonna have to rely on some rookies for some like.
Well, that's why when I was making these sleepers, it was like these guys that are like bottom of the barrel.
I definitely get that. Yeah.
Well, I'm actually my baby's starting to cry now, so this was a good episode, dude. We covered a ton. Love having Jones on like always, but you got any last words?
The Panthers suck.
Colts are worse.
We're gonna
Panthers may suck, but the Colts are worse.
Don't lose to us this year, and everything will be okay.
We will be at that game on my birthday.
Yes, we will.
All right, man. Well, anybody watching, like, subscribe. It's probably a longer video again. Don't even know what time how long the recording.
I will say during the season, I like the idea of putting out like 20-minute videos.
Definitely
in season.
These
are longer form videos because
covering specific topics.
We're going over 30+ players, but during the season, if we just hop on and be like, you just give me
our plays of the week.
Yeah. So we'll put some stuff out like that too.
Definitely. We're just trying to buy time until the season starts, which is less than 60 days.
I love it.
Yeah. Love it. All right, dude. Well, anybody watching, appreciate it. If you made it this far, like, subscribe, all that, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.